It's hard to believe, but what you're looking at right now is happening in Canada. What seems like a zombie town full of poor people who ended up in a situation you wouldn't wish for your worst enemy.
Just checking on you, brother. You doing okay? All right, you take care, brother.
How can this be Canada, you may ask? Because when you naturally think of Canada, what comes to mind is polite people, the most welcoming country, free healthcare, super progressive, likable leader.
We got some uggos. They don't carry themselves like you.
Many outsiders call Canada the perfect country, often saying that it's just so much better than America.
Canada is better than the United States. Could we see a show of hands who would agree with that?
But there has always been something on my mind that's hard to ignore with Canada. The other side, where underneath this seemingly perfect image are some very conflicting things.
Hey there, how you doing? I'm not shaking your hand, bro. You're a piece of man. Why is that, sir? You the entire country.
That contrary to all the good things we know about it, Canada might also practice the exact opposite. That perhaps, as some critics said, this country might be the case of wokeness gone wrong. And so, as we just explored the conflicting two faces of Japan, how is it possible that the beloved Vancouver in Canada could end up looking like this? Soon you'll know. Sit tight as we're about to investigate the surprising two faces of Canada. Let's start by talking about Canada's undeniable progressiveness. Like how they offer free healthcare to their people, a dream for many poor countries. But on the other hand, it seems they have also gone too far in assisting people with their health. Because now if you live in Canada and you're troubled, the country will help you by giving you the permission to die.
People with disabilities don't ask for their disability.
I don't want to die.
Yeah. Canada, the healthcare paradise, has recently introduced new euthanasia laws, allowing assisted suicide for Canadians who are terminally ill, and soon, even for those who are only struggling with mental health.
Do you want to die now? If the option was there today, I would, yes.
I mean, I know it's progressive to let people make that decision, but giving them so much freedom might instead encourage them to end it all. Wokeness gone wrong? And speaking of too much freedom, as you've seen earlier, this is everyday life in Vancouver, Canada. Countless addicts behaving like zombies in public. And so, as you look at this, how do you feel knowing that this is legal? Yes, this is legal. It's a consequence of the law that decriminalized small amounts of certain drugs. And to be clear, the intention was good. Because it's true. Addicts so often are just victims too. But clearly the execution of this super progressive law didn't really go too well. With not enough treatment resources available to cover all the users. Just like assisted suicide, this bold move seemed to have only encouraged people to take more drugs.
Are good and balanced. God made all.
Wokeness gone wrong. And as we dig into more, the two faces of Canada just keep on surprising me. How come Canada is known for being a peacekeeper of the world?
Peace is the work of many generations.
But at the same time, Canada also earns money from wars by selling arms and tanks to Saudi Arabia. The peaceful Canada. Just look how uncomfortable Trudeau seemed when this comedian caught him off guard by confronting him about the Saudi arms deal.
You could announce it right here, right now. We're canceling the deal.
We got it
right here, wild on camera.
We take our legal responsibilities and the breaking of contracts very seriously in this country.
Wants to be seen as the guardian of liberal values around the world. Unfortunately for him, the world sees through his hypocrisy.
Wokeness gone wrong? How can we trust the face of Canada parading itself as a climate change leader?
Shouldn't have taken this long for a Canadian government to get real about climate change.
While also hiding this face. a country that heavily relies on extractive mining industries. Now, wouldn't you say this is a massive double standard? Not many people know this, but Canada even has the world's third largest oil reserves.
No country would find 173 billion barrels of oil in the ground and just leave them there.
And with all these double standards, it sometimes seems even Trudeau himself can get confused.
Canada is a major oil and gas producing country.
And I'm not done yet. Just look at one of its most controversial projects, the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion, which will develop oil sands that could further produce higher greenhouse gas emissions, destroy forests and wildlife, and contaminate water and air. Wars. This destructive project that Canada continued despite the backlash also damages lands and waterways of Indigenous communities.
Our concern is that there would be no way to repair the damage that's done.
Truth is, it's usually only people from the United States who get the bad name for what they did to the Indigenous people.
Why doesn't the Prime Minister just say the truth and tell the Indigenous peoples that he doesn't give a about their rights?
And even though it's indeed truly commendable how Canada remains very accepting of immigrants looking for a better life, just like America, Canada hides some really ugly things in the past. Like the Indian Act of 1876, which gave colonizers the power to claim territories that rightfully belonged to the Indigenous communities. They wanted to get rid of the Indian problem, so they put Indigenous children into residential schools that forcibly separated them from their families, languages and culture. And right now in Quebec, Canada, there is also a law that bans people from wearing religious clothing like burqas when performing public transport government duties.
They're just dehumanizing us. They're not looking at how it can affect us as human beings.
Many countries would get in huge trouble if they did the same. Now, I know after hearing all of this, some of you will say, hey, no country is perfect. And that is true. It might surprise you after all that I've said, but I love Canada. Among many countries with shameful pasts, we still can praise Canada for at least having the balls to apologize and then try to make amends.
I'm not saying Canada doesn't have its own mess, but we deal with it differently, right? We listen.
And more importantly, we send our love to Canadians who truly embody the goodness this country is known for.
I'm a proud Canadian citizen. I really believe in what the ideals of this country are founded for.
But if there's anything this investigation has reminded me, it is that consistent actions will always speak louder than the sweetest words.
Fight for justice, for inclusion, for better is never done.
And like one saying goes, before you go and try to fix the world, it always pays to clean up your own backyard first.